So here I am in front of a class of third graders, and I thought that the task at hand was relatively simple. I would be teaching them a lesson plan where they compare and contrast 3 different versions of the Irish folk tune Danny Boy. One was sung by Elvis, one was by a female singer, and one was entirely instrumental. It was performed by a band. The students would listen to the recordings and come to the realization that the melodies are all the same. Then I was hoping that they would notice minute differences in tempo, dynamics, emotional affect, and they turned to me, their fearless leader, for a way to organize their findings. I would swoop in Educator of the Year and present them with the Venn diagram. I would leave the class to begs and cheers to just stay for one song longer and further their understanding and appreciation of the folk music repertoire. It tanked. It was so bad that even the best and brightest, most highly motivated students were raising their hands, and they were like, "Miss Arbaugh, I don't get it. What do you mean? Melody? What? I don't get it." And my pits were sweating, I was freaking out, and my mentor teacher had to swoop in and save me. Whew. Needless to say, I did not touch music listening for another 6 months with the third grade. But, like all good failures, it got me thinking about how I can make music appreciation more real for all of my students. So the time comes, we're in the 6th grade, and it's time to begin a new unit. And I had decided that the music of Africa would be a great place to start. So I'm browsing lesson plans online, and there's this one lesson plan that recommends starting with a pop song that the students know and love so that they can easily understand the musical elements present. Ha! I know my kids, and if you give them an inch, they take a mile. There's no way I am playing that in my class. Yeah, right. But it was the night before class, and I didn't have a lesson plan, so pop music it was. I wish you could have seen the looks on their faces when I plugged in my iPad that fateful Monday morning. It doesn't matter if you love him or capital H-I-M. Put your paws together, baby, because you were born this way. My mama told me when I was young, we were all born superstars. She rolled my hair and put my lipstick on in the glass of her boudoir. They were looking at me because they thought I played the wrong song. or they thought I went crazy. But when I asked them what the tempo of that song was, they knew that it was allegro. And when I asked them what the song was about, they knew. When I asked them what dynamic contrast was present, they understood it. So we went on. To la sea's way, umbako hala, uje hova wako, nzok no bella. One student raises his hand and he goes, "Miss Arbaugh, you said this is from Africa, but what country is it from? Africa's a continent." And I was like, "Oh, well, I didn't even think we'd get this far in the lesson plan." So then another kid, when I asked him what instruments were present, he said, "Well, I know that it's a human voice, but is it all male or is it male and female?" I was like, "Hell if I know." And then one kid said, "Well, I hear harmony. Is that 4-part or are there more than 4 parts?" And by this point, I was like visibly sweating. And I was like, "These are great questions. I will get back to you next week." And then another kid said, "Well, maybe we can sing this like at an assembly in front of the whole school." And this is a class I had to bribe with free time PE to open their mouths when they had to sing their class song in front of the school last. So this is a pretty incredible thing. And the class went on, and the students got it. There weren't behavioral issues, and they understood the concepts and skills that they failed to understand in previous semesters, all thanks to Lady Gaga. So we go on. And 6th grade's easy. But I have a class that's very sassy. A naughty class, filled with mostly boys about this big. They like to swear and kick and punt and mock everything I say, and they're known as the 8th grade. But I digress. Things have been better. So we're working on a project where they're rewriting lyrics to their graduation song. So I thought maybe if I split them up into groups, they can come back together and share the findings. And, a little 4 C's in there, 21st century skills, collaboration, creativity. So I let them break off into their groups, and I'm working with a small group of girls. And next thing I hear is the thud of a human body. So I whip around, and there's a boy lying down on the stage because his friend had pushed him over. So I went, no, absolutely not. No small groups, come back. And I corral them, and just as I had their attention, I'm about to teach them how terrible their ways were, they just burst out laughing, and I lost them. And it was because one boy poked another boy in the butt. I went, I'm done. Get out of my class. I will see you next week. And I contemplated for a week the ways I could punish them for their indiscretions. I thought maybe we'll copy definitions or remember what music education used to be like. Or maybe they'll sit in silence for 45 minutes. That'll teach them to appreciate music. Or the best one yet, they'll write a 5-page single-space analysis and interpretation essay of Mahler's First Symphony and why the French horn section is the most important. Oh, my mind was running wild, but then it hit me that I was not mad at these students. I was frustrated at myself for not having an engaging and interesting lesson plan. I had nothing to lose. I had them for 3 months, so I came into class the next day and plugged in my phone. Roll away your stone, I'll roll away mine. Together we will see what we will find. Don't leave me alone at this time, for I'm afraid of what I will discover. And they loved it, but they didn't know what it was. And one kid said, oh, I hear a banjo. And I said, you're right. So what genre must this be if you hear a banjo? The kids didn't know what folk rock was. So we talked for a good 5 minutes about the folk rock revival happening today. And then the best thing happened. You remember the 2 butt-poking boys? Yeah. One of them has his music folder in front of his face, so I can't see him talk. And he's like, dude, that question on the board about tempo, like, do you think it's more moderato or more andante? And the other one responds, no, dude, it's definitely andante and then allegro. And so normally I would have chided them, how dare they talk out of turn in my class. But I walked over and I said, hey, kid, you're right. It is andante and it becomes allegro. But is that a sudden transition or does it happen gradually? He went, oh, it's sudden. That's where the banjo starts rocking out. I said, yes, in music we call that subito. This is why we teach music, so our students can understand and appreciate the music around them, so they can pick up the clarinet in their junior year of high school with no fear, so they can attend a symphony concert and appreciate the art form taking place in front of them. Or even just, I would be thrilled if they could articulate why they prefer West Coast rap to East Coast rap. But does that mean we curse all classical music? No, absolutely not. It's really important to understand where this came from. But I do think that this unusual phenomenon we just observed is because of one thing. When our scientific community makes a discovery, that change in knowledge is reflected in our public schools. The music our students are consuming is changing on a weekly basis, and our music education curriculum is not reflecting that change. So back to the sassy 8th graders. We had so much success with pop music that I decided to take a risk the next week. Ba ba ba, ba ba ba, ba 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 ba, boom boom. It's silent, and I went, oh no, I went too far with them. But this kid raises his hand, and he says, well, we know this song. And it turns out that a ceremony at our school used this music as a soundtrack. I thought, cool, there's already an emotional connection there. But can you tell me who composed it? What instrument it features? What's its title? And they couldn't. So we talked about Aaron Copland's Fanfare for the Common Man. And suddenly these emotions started pouring out. To some of them, it meant a great pride in the fact that they were American citizens. To some of them, they felt a love for their family, a sense of calm, while others felt fear. We learned about Aaron Copland. The next thing we know, when I'm asking what instruments we hear, one child heard a flute and another snapped back, no, there's only brass and percussion, duh. And they're getting all worked up over classical music. And that's not unusual. Anybody of any age can appreciate classical music. But we have to begin by speaking their language. Another reason we teach music is because it's one of the most intensely personal experiences we as human beings can engage in. Listening to music, we all do that for pleasure. Creating our own music is leaving yourself on the page, on the stage, and performing it for your peers. If that's not exhilarating, I don't know what is. So let me share with you a story about a 7th grade boy of mine. And to illustrate our relationship, I'll tell you about the 3rd week of music class. I'm a brand new teacher, and I play a song in a listening unit, and it was not nearly as successful as any of these were. And so I asked the kids, horrible question, who liked that song? And about 4 of them raised their hand. So I wanted to investigate and let them know it's okay to not like the music that I play. And I see this boy and I say, did you like it? And he went, no. I went, well, it's okay. You don't have to like everything in here. It's okay to have your own opinion. Why didn't you like it? He goes, it sucks. I went, okay. So I rolled him out. I don't like him. He doesn't like music. He doesn't like me. We're even. It's fine. But about 7 or 8 months later, he comes up to me after a music class in the hallway, after school. He looked really distraught. He went, Miss Arbaugh, Miss Arbaugh. And I'm like, yeah, kid, I'm busy passing out papers here. In my head, of course, but like, get on with your question. And he said, Miss Arbaugh, when are we having music again? And I went, I don't know, like a week from now, just like always. And he went, oh, I love music class. I love learning about that music. Bam! I was struck. I was humbled. I was overjoyed. Because this child, who I ruled out as a naughty child, had just reached out and made me an offer. And it had nothing to do with me and everything to do with the power of music. I was also humbled because this child and I weren't BFFs week 3 of school. I thought he was naughty. He would never love music. It wasn't worth my time. Boy, was I wrong. But now this child and I are connected, for better or for worse. Should he need a recommendation for high schools next year? Should he have a tough time and need someone to talk to? I'm here, all because of the power of music. Music also reaches across all kinds of borders and boundaries. It reaches across skin color, socioeconomic status, language. I was going to send you off today with a kazoo and a simple song, so you'd never have to know what it's like to be without music. But I had an intensely profound experience that I'd rather share with you. I was in Fiji over my spring break, and I noticed that after about 36 hours, ordering drinks to the pool isn't that fun. So I went on a walk to the village. There's a little village, and the disparity between the way we live and the way they were living was just shocking. And I keep going, and there's a sign that says Seventh-day Adventist School this way. I thought, great, I'm a teacher. I have to check it out. So I'm walking, and I see these kids, and they're using hoes and shovels, and they're working out in the garden. They're talking and laughing, and I'm peering through the trees, checking them out. And all of a sudden, I hear, "Bula, bula, bula!" And I'm like, uh-oh, not me, not me. And they're like, "Bula, you, come visit." I was like, no, you have it wrong. I'm just looking, minding my own business. But they wouldn't let me get away with it. And so I timidly approached, and there are these kids. They say, "How are you? Who are you? What are you from? Where are you from? What do you do?" I said, "Hi, Bula, I'm Dana. I'm from Hawaii." "Hawaii? Wow, that's so cool. We love Hawaii." And I said, I teach music. And they went, "Music? We love music. We sing every day." And they burst into a Fijian welcome song for me. Their voices were tremendous. Every kid was singing so heartily. It was just the most amazing thing. I was completely mesmerized. I wanted to reach for my phone and record it, so I had it for lesson plans, but I didn't want to ruin the moment. And then they looked to me when they were done. They're like, "It's your turn." And I went, "No, I don't have my lesson plans. I don't have my iPad. What am I going to do? I need a textbook curriculum." They're like, "Sing us a song." And I was like, oh, geez. And the only thing I could think of was an African chant called Samagwaza. And it was introduced to me by my friend Manny Diao, who learned it from one of the singers in the female a cappella group Sweet Honey in the Rock, if you're familiar with them. And so I just started chanting it, and they instinctively joined in. They just knew what to do. It didn't require an explanation or a lesson plan or anything that I thought it did for chanting. And then I harmonized. We went on for a good couple minutes. It was the most amazing experience. And I would love for us to share in that same experience today. So I'm going to start this chant, and as soon as you feel comfortable, please, please, please join in with me. Couple friendly reminders as your neighborhood music educator. This is a chant. It is not a song, so it should be a hearty chest voice. You should belt it out. Mariah Carey, anyone? Yeah, that's right. The next thing is, do not worry. Do not have any fear about not knowing what to do. I will guide you. I will show you. We'll show you how to get louder, and when the time comes, how we will end this chant together. One final thing that I tell all of my students, you have to sing, every single one of you. Yeah, and if you don't, I will pull you up on stage and you will sing a solo into this microphone. So please join me in this experience. Awe, awe, samagwaza.